Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Adrian here from Adrian Mateo Drones. Another weekend is upon us. Thank you so much for the love and support. Thank you for everybody that's already in the chat talking their butt off. Thank you. I appreciate it. As you guys know, that this is the Adrian Mateo Drone Show. We actually got quite a few topics that we're going to talk about. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my co-host, Mr. Matt Condit, aka Mattys DroneWorld. Bring your own self in, man. You know how to do it.
I got this, man.
How you doing, buddy?
What's happening, brother? I like your
Thank you so
hat.
much for coming in, and thank you so much for coming in. Don't start no crap. It's an eagle, not a damn X. Anyway, we do have quite a few people also in the panel that's about to join. Let me go ahead and bring, I guess, Matt Condiff, Mr. Mattys Drone World. He actually goes by Vic Moss. I've heard a lot of good stuff from Recovery One Drone, aka Draymond Crawford, that this guy actually knows his thing. So we're gonna talk to him a little bit. Bring
He
him on
does
in.
indeed.
Let me go ahead and bring him in so he can go ahead and introduce himself. He's actually gonna be a guest. How you doing, Vic?
Good morning. No, it's not. It's evening.
How you doing, buddy?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thank you for being here, sir. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You're a
Thanks
busy
for the invite.
man.
It's going to be fun.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
sure.
it is gonna be fun. My show is always fun. We actually again got quite a few topics we're gonna talk about. I actually kind of went over that with you early on. First of all, I do want to thank you for coming to the show. I want to thank Dre, aka Recovery One Drone, for actually referring you to me. So let me go ahead and actually bring him on, and then we'll take it from there. How you doing, Dre?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for the guest, Draymond. I appreciate that, man.
No problem. Like I say, I have had the pleasure of following Vic, and he is a highly renowned and I would say highly respected individual across the Facebook and Phantom and DJI platforms. So I felt why not bring us to the source?
Awesome.
Yes,
Yes, I
sir.
appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. So, Vic, before I bring everybody else that's actually in the panel, can you do me a favor, kind of introduce yourself a little bit, please, if you don't mind?
Sure. Again, Vic Moss, as it says there below there. I'm a commercial photographer. Have been since 1988. I've been doing this a very, very long time. Specialize in architecture, and drones popped into the scene about 2013. Kind of liked what I saw from them, so I started flying them professionally in 2014. Legally in 2016 when I got my 107. I got my 107 basically the first week it was out. And then since then, I just wanted to fly a camera. That's really all I wanted to do. To me, it really from the get-go was just a flying camera. I always joke and say, I'm sure most people have heard this before, it's the tallest, most versatile tripod in the world. So throw a camera on top of that, and I'm a happy camper. And one thing led to another. I got really heavily involved in the regulation side of things here in Colorado, and that led to being basically doing a lot of the same kind of stuff nationally. But it's a lot of fun. I'm not a lawyer. One of my business partners, Kenji Sugahara, is at DSPA. But I'm a law nerd, I guess would be a good way to put it. And I really enjoy diving into the nuances and the silliness of how the sausage is made. And we try at DSPA, we try and help add ingredients to the sausage so it's a little more palatable, I guess is probably a good way to put that. And I fly drones for a living. It's what I do. I'm both aerial and ground stuff, and I enjoy doing it all. So,
Okay.
I'm also on the DAC or the ACC, the Advanced Aviation Advisory Committee, the FAA DOT committee that helps advises, as the name says, the FAA on upcoming legislation and different topics of interest. One of which I'm working on. Our report will be the end of this month, and I should have checked. I think it's the 23rd is when we have our meeting. I'll check that real quick while we're talking, and it'll be on all the FAA social media channels. But we have a fun report about how drones can be used in the K-12 STEM curriculum and help spark that aviation interest that seems to be lacking these days. In the manned aviation world or traditional aviation world. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work. I've been working with great folks, AMA, AUVSI, Dr. Hsu with Hugh Foundation, all that fun stuff. And our work is coming to a fruition at the end of the month. So tune in for that. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for that intro, sir. So, when it comes to the drone, what drones do you normally fly pretty much for your Part 107 jobs?
Well, up until recently, the Mavic 2 Pro is my go-to drone. I love this. I love the camera. I love the lens. The glass on the thing is phenomenal. The sensor is phenomenal. But now I'm flying the Mavic 3s. That micro four thirds, it's hard to beat a micro four thirds up in the air. And as soon as DJI gets the Fly app up to date and working the way I'd like it, I'll be really happy with it. But I fly that. I've got a Mini 2 that I use for ops over people, and I just picked this guy up right here, P4PV2. After I sold all my Phantoms, something else popped up, and I needed a P4. I found a new one, so I've got a P4PV2, and got a project coming up for that. And of course, I have the FPV, and I fly a little bit of FPV stuff, although I kind of blow grits with the non-GPS drones, but I have fun with them. So, but it's the Mavic 3s are the most, is if I'm in the air, that's what I'm flying.
All right. I do want to go ahead and thank everybody that's actually in the chat. So many to go ahead and say hi to. So just give me a minute and bear with me.
Sure.
I will call you guys out one by one. Dre, how's your day going, buddy?
Not bad, not bad. Had another job to do today. Just on the fringe of the TFR that will be taking place here in about 14 hours.
Yep.
So yeah, I was right there on the borderline of that out in Chino, California. So I was right there. I was wondering if they're going to kick it in early. So I was very kind of a little anxiety to see if I was going to get this project done. So I was out there flying a Burlington Coat Factory and a Planet Fitness. So
Tenfold.
So knocked it out and got back home.
All right. So let me go ahead and bring. How you doing, Sean?
Hey,
What's
Sean.
up, y'all? Doing good.
Thank
going
you for
on?
being here, man. I really appreciate you. Let me also go ahead and bring in. I have not been on a streaming
Mike.
alone. How you doing?
Wow.
How you doing,
What's up, guys?
The ghost
man?
of
Going on,
Christmas
Mr.
past.
Mike?
Buddy's been hiding.
Yeah.
Haven't seen you in a while, man. How you doing, bro?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just been super busy. Had a lot of stuff going on. I came back to Georgia, so I'm back in Georgia now. Had some couple little situations happen in Tennessee with the job I was going to. Just wasn't all they initially cracked it up to be. So came back to Georgia, working back at the hospital again. Got my old job back. So
Is that actually working, or are you actually a patient?
no, I'm actually working. Actually working.
He didn't say it was a psych ward or not.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good stuff. It's good to see you again, Mike.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Good to see you as well, man. Again, it's been a while. I've been keeping in touch with this guy, just, every now and again. But since it disappeared, he actually went AWOL on my ass. So I haven't really been talking to him that much. But anyway, Vic, if you don't mind, and also, Dre. Actually, let me go ahead and bring Mr. Ray Kelly. He's actually in the green room. Let me just bring it in for a minute. Matt, let me see. Let me kick my own stuff.
Pop me out. Pop me out. Pop me out.
How you doing, Ray Kelly?
Hey, Adrian. How you doing?
I'm doing
Everybody
pretty
in
good.
the
All
Ray,
right.
Mike, Sean, good to see you guys.
We got quite a few people in the crowd. Mr. Spat, Johnny Drone Flyer, Robert Glazier, Steve-O, 43068, Tim Jackson, Danny, a.k.a. the Drone, the View Chaser. Man, we got a lot of people here. Lon Dinard, Joe Fortaleo. We got Aldias, Time to Fly. Thank you so much for popping in. If I haven't mentioned you, I apologize. So let's go ahead and get to some of the topic. Hey, Mr. Bob Casey, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for popping in, man. Now, Vic, you said that you work directly with the FAA. Did I understood you correctly?
I work with the FAA. I volunteer I don't speak for the FAA. There's a huge distinction. I get in trouble if I start speaking on behalf of the FAA because I'm not allowed But
Yes, sir.
no, we do a lot of stuff with both the ACT. Everybody knows it as the DAC, the Drone Advisory Council. They just changed the name last session, and then the FAA safety team as well here in Denver. So yeah, I do a lot of stuff. It's fun.
Okay, okay. And I do want to thank you, Vic, for what you said earlier. You actually asked for the link in advance to go ahead and kind of promote my, my show on your social media. I really appreciate you doing that, man.
Sure.
Thank you so much for doing that. How you doing,
My
Mr.
pleasure.
David Lorenzo? How you doing, buddy? Steven Drones, Johnny Drone Flyer. So, Vic, let me go ahead and start with this topic when it comes to let's see, where is that here? If you don't mind talking just a little bit about FAA rules without getting yourself in trouble. Are you allowed to?
I'm allowed to talk about rules, but this is only a 2-hour show, so we're going to have to cut down exactly what rules we're going to talk about here.
Pick one. Pick whatever
Pick
you
one.
want.
Well, let's start with the one that already came up, the TFR this weekend near SoFi. Don't fly. Please don't fly in the drone area or in the TFR, either manned or unmanned, drone or traditional. You're gonna get busted. Trust me on this. There's stuff there that will find you and sniff you out and find where you are, and you'll get visits with people with either red cherries on top of their car or black SUVs where you can't see in the windows. So just don't do it. Stay on the ground. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. We get to do a little bit of stuff here. One of the things I do with the FAST team, the FAA safety team, is I get to counsel people when they're reported to the FAA. And we had, y'all probably heard about the fires we had here in Denver 5 weeks ago. We had some people fly during the TFR there. So I got to sit down with them and have some liquid refreshments and tell them what they did was wrong. So both worked out great. But anyway, laws I thought we'd talk about. I actually made a list to keep on topic. Some of the hot buttons we have always seem to have on our forums, and I'm sure you guys have them on all your channels as well, too. I know Captain Ray sees them every once in a while. Is recreation versus non-recreational. 107 versus 44809. We can talk about that a little bit, what the difference is, and how to tell if you're flying under which ones. Night operations is a lot of confusion about that for some reason still. Remote ID, we'll just go a little bit on that because that's kind of a hot topic, but it's not an important topic right now because there's so much not known about it at the moment. BVLOS, which is beyond visual line of sight. What is visual line of sight? What is beyond visual line of sight? What can you do? What can't you do? And ops over people, that seems to be a very confusing one too. And the night ops and ops over people are the newer rules that just came out in April of last year. So do you want to start with, how about recreational versus non-recreational? How's that sound?
That sounds great.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. A lot of there still seems to be some confusion, even though it's been around for 7 years now. Part 107, which is everybody calls the remote pilot certificate of the remote pilot program Part 107. Everybody calls it 107. That is really the default way you fly a drone in the United States. We're not going to talk about 333. We're not going to talk about public COAs and that kind of thing, because if you are flying under a 333 or a public COA, this doesn't apply to you, and you already know it. So don't worry about that. And if you don't know what those are, it doesn't apply to you. So again, don't worry about it. So default is 107, which means all the rules that you have to follow under 107 are the rules you have to follow, including getting a remote pilot certificate. But AMA, among others, has lobbied to kind of have a carve out for the recreational folks. And so if you can fly recreationally by satisfying 8 rules, which we'll go over here real quick, you can fly under what's called 44809, which is the exception for recreational flights.
Right.
And a lot of people get confused in that, well, if you're making money or if you're not making money on something, then you can fly into recreational rules. And that's not how it works at all. It actually really doesn't come into play for the most part. What you need to do is you've got these 8 rules. We're not going to go over all 8 because you don't want to lose listeners and viewers to all this. But one of the first one in the rules, the recreational rules exception, it's the recreational exception, is the aircraft is flown strictly for recreational purposes. That means anything outside of recreational purposes means you can't fly recreationally, and you need your 107. It doesn't matter if you're getting paid for something, if you're volunteering for your church, if you're volunteering search and rescue, if you fly up and inspect your neighbor's roof. I mean, Will the FAA give a rap? No, probably not. But technically, there's the letter of the law and there's the spirit of the law. Letter of the law is you need your 107. So other things, you have to have accordance. You have to fly in accordance with the community-based program, which doesn't exist yet, but it's coming out. So don't worry about that. You have to stay within line of sight, which we'll talk about a little bit. You can't interfere with other aircraft. I mean, drones are the low men on the totem pole in the world, in the NAS, so the National Airspace System. So we have to give way to everything else out there. Everything from a tilt glider to a 747. We have to stay away from those, and we have to give way of those. And if we're flying in a manner that interferes with them, we're in trouble. So that's a big one. You have to get permission to fly in controlled airspace, which everybody hopefully knows. Not everybody does, but hopefully everybody does. And we can, talk if anybody has questions. We'll pop them up and address those. And you have to fly at 400 feet. You don't have to fly. You can't fly any higher than 400 feet as a recreational flyer. As a 107, one thing we get to do is we get to add 400 feet to the top of whatever we're flying over. So we got to fly 400 feet over or 400 feet within. We can fly over 400 feet above ground level. Recreational pilots do not get to do that. What I like to kind of an example I like to use in that, the tallest redwood in the world is, I'm going to mess this up, 283 feet, I think it's called. I think it is. It's in California, obviously, which means a recreational or actually a regular pilot, a 107 pilot can only fly 400 feet, which means 13 feet above the drone or 17 feet above the tree, because a tree is not an obstacle. Obstacle has to be man-made. But if you're flying near a 405-foot building, recreational pilot can't even fly over the building. 107 can. So there's a little bit of confusing with that. You have to pass the trust, which just came out a few months ago. So that's easy to find. I like to push the Pilot Institute. They're really great. So trust.pilotinstitute.gov. And you have to register your drone. That's it. One of the nice things about recreational is you register yourself as a recreational drone operator, and you get a number, and you put that number on every single drone you have. So one drone, one number, $5. You can put it on every single drone you have, and you have to do it every 3 years.
That's for recreational, not
that's for recreational, right? 107, I pay $5 for every drone I got every 3 years. Although most of my drones don't last 3 years. I think I've only had to renew one in that time. But yes, right now my inventory is 10 active U.S. commercial drones. So I pay $30 every 3 years. No, $50 every 3 years. I can't do math. So that's kind of recreational versus non-recreational. It's shortened version. And Jim's right. In Canada there is no separation, and that is true. And it'd be nice if we did that here, but we can do things y'all can't do, and y'all can do things we can't do. So there's a trade-off there.
My first question, Vic, is about what is the difference between fixed wing flyers and quads?
Fixed wing flyers know how to fly. The last thing you ever want to do is give me the sticks of your RC flyer, because I promise you it's going to be in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
I love my GPS drones,
And
but
the reason why go ahead.
there is no difference. Just to save you, there is no difference commercially or recreationally.
Mm-hmm.
If you're flying outside of like an AMA field or something along those lines, they're called FRIAs eventually.
Right.
FAA remote identification authorization area, or something along those lines. You don't have to be registered, but if you're flying outside of that, whether it's fixed wing or rotary, you got to have it. If a 3D helicopter, you got to have it. If it's your little Piper Cub that you put together, got to have it. If it's your Inspire 2, you got to have it. It's all the same. You have to be registered over 0.55 pounds or 250 grams for recreational.
And let me jump on the back of that first question with this is that some people, even in this chat here, said that a lot of AMA locations are not very welcoming to drones, quads, I should say.
No.
And have you experienced that, or what is the rules on that? They've been actually told they can't fly there.
That's up to each field. Now, I'm an AMA member. I spend time with one of the AMA guys every week in that task group I just talked about. Great people. There are clubs that do not allow it. Now, here in Denver, we've got Cherry Creek State Park, and we've got another one south of me at a reservoir. I can't remember the name of it. Cherry Creek State Park has a separate area, and if you're flying a drone, you have to fly in the helicopter area. If you can't fly on the flight line, basically, and then whatever the other one's called. My brain is not working right now. They actually do not allow any FPV drones. And sometimes you'll get somebody who's been there a long time and is not happy with drones will tell you that a drone is an FPV, a fixed or a rotary, whatever you want to call it, quadcopter. I'm just going to call quadcopters drones. Everything else is going to be RC. Don't like drones. And so they consider, since you're looking at a screen when you're flying, that's FPV. So I think a lot of the AMA fields are being much more acceptable now because they see the drone world as what really is going to save the hobby, because not every drone out there flies commercially. Most do fly recreationally. So they're going to see, they see it, I think most of them, as is going to save their hobby. I really think so. Not all, but some. More and more and more.
Here we get a question, Adrian, from Lon.
Lon, yeah, Lon had a good one.
Oh, that's it. If you're trying to use 400-foot over building as part 107, do you have to be actually engaged in a commercial enterprise at the time? Okay. If you're not, well, you can fly over it as long as you're flying under 107 rules. That means your drone has to be registered 107. And you can say, okay, if you're going to do that, put a card in there and turn your camera on. That means you're doing video, you're doing photography, and you can use it for your portfolio. So yeah, just take some pictures while you're doing it, take some video while you're doing it, and you can use it in marketing. If you're just out there, hey, watch me, and you've got your little, let's say you've got your squirt out and you're running it, you're trying to dive the building, that's not really a 107 thing. You could say you're practicing, kind of. So that would be time to be the adult in the room and make that decision on your own. The issue is going to be if you're out there doing it and then hit something and crash, the FAA is going to know what you were doing. So, just be smart about it.
I've got a question. I've got a question for you. So I work at a hospital with a heliport, with a helicopter pad. Now there is no tower to clear.
Mm-hmm.
The hospital wants to get an aerial shot of the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
How would you go about doing that? I mean, we know when the helicopters are coming in, we know when they're leaving. Would we just clear that with the hospital itself, or is there an aviation that we have to clear it with?
You are, my answer is going to be, it depends. It depends on whether or not the hospital is in controlled airspace. Here, Denver, we've got two hospitals that have helipads that are in controlled airspace at Centennial, and there you have to coordinate with Centennial. You have to get your lands, you have to get your COA. But what I like to do in addition, whether if it's in G airspace or uncontrolled airspace, we've got a lot of those here in Denver, downtown, up north, is I contact the hospital and say, who do I talk to? Which usually takes about 4 or 5 transfers before I get to the right person. I've even talked to the janitor. He's like, why are you talking to me? He's like, I don't know. They sent me there. And I say, look, here's my VO's number. You got anybody incoming, you call us and we'll put it on the ground right away. So I coordinate with the hospital in whether I'm in controlled airspace or not. And one of the nice things too about Denver, we're mile high, is the helicopter here use some pretty heavy duty rotors. They use high altitude rotors, and we can almost feel them before we can hear them. But we can hear them coming a while away, or we can feel them before we can see them. We hear them coming quite a ways, and then we feel them, and then we see them. It's that big whomp 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 that does that. But coordinate with the hospital.
I work for the hospital. So
yeah, so you would know then. Flight nurse is a good place to start. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that when they're coming in, I know at least 40 minutes in advance before they're going to arrive.
Oh, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
you're golden.
I was just wondering if we still had to clear with a certain tower or anything, because we're not in any controlled airspace.
Nope.
None of that. But they want to get drone shots of the hospital for an aerial photograph of the hospital, and they were asking me, because they know I am into drones and do all that stuff, about the helipad and what to do with that. So I figured I'd bounce that off you, because
that's a good question. And we actually see that every once in a while in the forums. But yeah, no, if you're in controlled airspace, or uncontrolled airspace, sorry, wrong word, uncontrolled airspace, which is G airspace or E extension, then technically you don't have to do anything except listen for the helicopter. But
Right.
there's technical and then there's smart. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's smart. Call the hospital and talk to them and say, look, this is what I'm doing. This is what I need to do. Who do I talk to know when something's coming in?
Yeah.
Or
Well,
when
like I
something's
said,
leaving.
I'm with security for the
You're-
hospital.
You're golden then.
We're the ones that actually land all the birds.
Awesome.
So if they're
Awesome.
coming in, they have to clear it through us. So we have to
Perfect.
go out there and actually land them. So like I
So-
said, I'll know when anything's coming in, but no, I just want to make sure there was nobody else we had to coordinate with or clear with before we did that.
Nope, you're good. You're good. And you're the guy I want to talk to sometime in a few. Whenever I need to, you're the guy. Talk to security. That's who I usually end up with nowadays.
That
At the beginning,
usually,
nobody knew. Nobody had a clue.
Yeah, usually
Isn't it?
most of the hospitals were the ones that land the birds and coordinate with all the landings and everything.
Mhm.
So I got a
And
question
another thing,
for
while
you.
we're on the subject, real quick, one more thing. If you don't coordinate with the hospital and security's involved, they'll find you. So don't do that. Talk to them. You're an ambassador. Every time you put the drone in the air, act accordingly.
So I got a question for you, Vic. You did mention that if we're going to have a Q&A, which is, I'm
Sure.
glad that we're pretty much doing that while we're talking. So when it comes to BVLOS, beyond visual line of sight, have the, for example, I have the auxiliary lights on the bottom of the drone. You know what I mean? I have the little drone light on top of the drone, got that thing buzzing, even during the day, it's pretty bright. I can see it. Am I allowed to fly that drone? If I'm not mistaken, if I recall correctly, is 3 statute miles, correct?
That is the
able to see it.
anti-collision strobe has to be visible from 3 statute miles.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
So if I fly approximately a mile and a half, and again, I can see the lights pretty clear and I pretty much know where it is that okay?
No. And actually, that's one of the things we were going to talk about was BVLOS. So let's talk about BVLOS. That's a great segue. You're supposed to be able to see the drone. Okay, so if I'm flying an M600, I can see it, or my VO can see it, although I'm supposed to be able to see it too, quite a ways away. But if you've got your Air 2S out, which I know you fly that, then no, you really have to be, here's the rules you have to follow. Okay, you have to visually be able to see, you have to know where the drone is.
Okay.
So you have to know its
Correct.
location. If you're a mile and a half out, you have a good idea, but you don't know where it is. You have to be able to determine the altitude, attitude, and direction of flight. Now you can use your telemetry for that, but you're supposed to be able to figure it out visually as well. And these are good questions. I'm not coming down on you. We see this all the time, so I'm not picking on you. One thing you can do actually easier at further away than you can is you have to have situational awareness. You have to observe the airspace for other traffic or hazards. So if you know the tallest thing here is a 100-foot tree and you're 300 feet in the air, you don't have to worry about obstacles.
Correct.
But you have to worry about aircraft. And here in Colorado, especially during nesting season, we have to worry about raptors. They they hate drones, and they'll come take your drone out of the sky. I've had people had eagles and hawks take their drones out of the sky. And then you have to be able to determine that your drone's not going to be a danger to anything else around it, like especially over people, things like that. So you're not legal flying a mile and a half out with your Air 2S, probably more than about 1,500, 1,600 feet, because you still need to be able to see the drone. Now, 1,500 feet in an Air 2S, you got to have some pretty good eyes. And the 3 statute mile strobe that you're talking about is not for you to see the drone. It's for other aircraft, usually traditional manned aircraft above you, to find the drone. They need to be able to see it 3 statute miles out. So technically, yes, you're illegal when you do that.
And I was under the impression from what I've been hearing this whole time that as long as you're able to see the strobe on the drone, then you pretty much have visual line of sight on the drone. That's what
You're not alone.
Understanding.
You're not alone. A lot of people really feel that. A lot of people feel that's the correct way anyway, even though that's not the way the rules say. So you see people that do that. One of the things I want to talk about was the people, hey, let's do a distance test on my new Mavic 3, and it goes out 3.5 miles. And then it returned to home and hope it comes home. So using a strobe to see the drone helps you with part of it. You can see where the drone is, but you can't see orientation or any of that stuff. So you're really not flying under rules in a situation like that. You may still be safe. I'm not going to say you're not safe. And maybe that will relax things in the future, like what we did with the 10729 waivers when they first came out, the nighttime waivers. Now we don't need the waivers anymore because the FAA realized that that's a safe flight. Now you also got and one of my business partners, Kenji Sugahara, is on that. Is the BVLOS Aviation Rulemaking Committee. So the ARC is what it's called. So that report will be out here in the next few weeks, maybe a month or two. And that's going to really help things move along in situations like that. So stay tuned for that. Those rules are changing. It's just the FAA moves at this glacial speed. So they're not going to change tomorrow. So does that answer your question? I tend to be long-winded. So if I'm being long-winded, just tell me, do this. Wrap it up, Vic.
No, you're fine. There's I got a couple of questions for you from this one from Ron Dinard.
Oh, Lon, another one. Here's good questions. So if you're Part 107 fly recreationally, which rules apply? That depends. FAA loves that answer, by the way. That depends. If you're flying under all your 107 rules, even if you're not let's say you're not actually doing any work, you're just out flying. If you're flying under 107, you're fine. But let's say you've got a recreationally registered drone. This is usually the biggest exception. Or you're out flying with your buddy and he's got a brand new Mavic 7. Let's say it's a few years down the road. And it's just recreationally registered. If you don't have your trust, you're not supposed to fly that drone, because since you have to have, if you're flying under 107, you have to have a 107 registered drone. Now, I know that sounds nitpicky, and it is, not going to lie. But those are the rules. So that's why I think everybody should take the trust, whether you're 107 or not. Well, if you're not, you have to take trust before you fly. But even if you're 107, you can do something like that. I'm flying. We get together once a month here in Denver Drone Pilot Social Hour. We go out, we fly drones, we talk about drones, and we drink beer in that order. And if somebody comes with a new drone that's registered recreationally, if I didn't have my trust, I can't fly the drone, no matter how much I want to. Plus, I mentioned the ambassador hat earlier. If you're out flying and somebody comes up to you, I know it's happened to all of us. You're out flying around and somebody, what's that? Oh, that's so cool. You can tell them about the trust and how easy it is. So that's my FAA safety team hat I'm wearing there.
And this is another question right here from Aldia's Time to Fly.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not going to say it depends this time, but it does. There is. I don't have. How many of y'all have heard of the RDQ FAA lawsuit? So, Race Day Quad sued the FAA over remote ID. One of the things they talked about was Fourth Amendment violation, which means that people are going to be able to see us. So it's a Fourth Amendment issue, at least in their eyes and in a lot of people's eyes. If the ruling comes out, which I thought it was going to come out last month, so it should be coming out pretty soon. We have till September of this year, September 16th of this year, for manufacturers to start. Everything that's sold after that has to have a remote ID on it, or remote ID capabilities. And then September 16th, 2023 is when we have to do it. So right now, it's kind of on hold until the RDQ ruling is out. Now, if it goes ahead and stays on schedule, it shouldn't be that big a deal, because I know people who are working on getting the actual RID module set up, and they just have to wait for the specifics or for the technical aspects of it to finish what they're doing. And that's just going to be some frequency aspects and blah, 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 that kind of stuff. So they're probably 90% of the way done with the module, and they got to wait for that last 10% to find out exactly what the standards are going to be from ASTM. So once that happens, and once the RID ruling happens, things are going to move fairly quickly. I think if the ruling comes out pretty quickly, I think that most manufacturers will be able to meet the September deadline this year. And then again, we don't have to wait till September of 2023 until we actually have to start flying with remote ID, unless we're flying recreationally under 250 grams or flying at a FRIA. So the remote ID is going to be tied to registration. So this is something people don't quite understand, is if you're flying a sub 250 gram, let's say the Mini 2, Autel's
the Nanos.
That one. Thank you.
Yep.
I don't have one yet. Then you don't have to be registered, so you don't have to have remote ID flying outside of that. What do you think it'll cost? Most people are thinking $30 to $40 because it's not that expensive. There's one in Europe now, which is god awful expensive, but it's just for the European. It's for the European Union, and they're pretty much the only manufacturer, so they can charge what they want. But this is America, so it's going to be, it's going to be some competition for market share.
Oh yeah.
So,
This is exactly why I think that the 250 gram and under drone class is going to explode when this remote ID actually hits. People are already expecting it. They're already prepared for it. And when remote ID comes, there's going to be the 250 gram drones are going to be flying off the shelves even more than they already are.
No pun intended.
Exactly.
Quick question for you, Vic. Now we're talking about remote ID, not to beat the fixed wing guys up. Now, are they also going to be required to have remote ID?
Anything over 250 grams. But one thing about fixed wing is most of y'all fly at a fixed site, at one of the FRIAs, at an AMA field, because you need a runway. I mean, some people do it out in front of their house, in which case they will technically need a remote ID. But the fixed wing stuff, then, all the AMA fields are probably going to end up being FRIAs. There's going to be a few others. There's going to be schools. Schools are going to be allowed to apply for them. Some of the other CBOs will probably do that. Boy Scouts, I think, are going to be doing it. And so you'll be able to fly at those fields without a remote ID. But yeah, you fly outside of that, got to have it registered, over 250 grams, got to have remote ID. But one of the great things about recreational is you can take that one module and move it from bird to bird. Now, there's some things you have to do in addition to that, but it's which we won't get into really tonight. But so you just have to buy one module and you can move it around, which is really nice.
What are the
guys? No.
what are the chances of remote ID being updated on the DJI drones through firmware?
You have to talk to Brendan about that one. Actually, Brendan's not there anymore. They put out a piece that said,
That's a good question,
We think so. But
I
again,
think
the
they will.
standards aren't there.
Yeah.
Now, the question's going to be, is that going to be considered standard or module? Because the standard remote ID, if you fail, it won't take off. If you fail your pre-check. Whereas with the module remote ID, if you fail, you could still technically fly, but you're not supposed to. I mean, you can still fly, but you're not supposed to do it. So is the remote ID that DJI already has in their drones, is that set up to be a kill switch if it fails? So that's one of the questions. I think they're going to be able to do it in some manner because they're going to have to. I think anything probably since the Air 2 is probably going to be able to do that. Maybe even the Mavic 2 Pro, because they've known about it for a while and they've got their own remote ID system.
Well,
I've already got mine filled out.
They have Aeroscope.
Right.
And it's weird because the new Fly app updates
deleted
it. They deleted it. It's not there anymore.
No, it is.
I can't find it on my Air 2S.
It is on there. Okay, I don't. Air 2S is about the only thing I haven't owned from DJI. But with my Mavic 3s, it's called like the QRR or some weird. It's not remote ID anymore. It's not RID. I think they're getting away from that name because so many people are confused by what they call remote ID is the FAA remote ID. But it's in there under About, I think, in the drop-down menu where you can put your name and phone number in there, which is what I do.
Oh, okay. Then that's on the Mavic 3. I didn't see that on the Air 2S.
I don't know if it's on the 2S or not. So
I don't think it is. Yeah, we used to have underneath the safety tab, it used to say Aeroscope right there. And that's when you had the two switches. Now they're gone. Yeah.
No, that's not there anymore. No, but because you can't turn it on and off. I think that might be an update. But
yeah,
I think under the About tab,
I'll have to look at that.
Is dropped. It's somewhere down there. It says whatever. It doesn't. They don't call it RID anymore. They call it something else. But that's yeah. And again on the Mavic 3, I don't know about the Air 2S.
Yeah. Now putting a module on these guys right here is a whole other story.
It sucks. What's nice, and do you race those or you just freestyle or do you play
just freestyle?
Both?
Just
okay.
freestyle.
That's going to be a problem. And it's a sticky wicket, as Sean would say, the other Sean. Sorry. Geeks Fauna.
Yeah.
Then it would be nice if there's some kind of base station remote ID. Is that in the works?
Oh, that would be sweet.
That would be really awesome. That you can
Oh.
because you can fly. Because if you're out playing freestyle, you got 6 or 7 drones. You'll probably take 3 or 4 home that don't work.
Pretty much.
Or all of them in my case.
Yeah.
But then it'd be nice if you could have a base station, because if you crack it up and it's going to be in pieces on the ground, there's a chance the module is going to be in pieces right beside it.
Oh yeah.
So base station module, sure, it'd be nice.
That would be nice.
I had no inside information, so don't quote me on that. Vic said, no, I'm not. That's no inside information.
Not at all.
Now, Vic, did you answer Bob Casey's question?
Does the FAA requirement is have the trust test correct? As a recreational, yes. Again, as a 107, just take it. It's free. It's easy. You print it out, carry it with you, one and done, unless you lose it and you have to take it over again. But in that scenario, if you're out flying with your buddies and he's got a recreationally registered drone and you want to fly it, unless you have your trust, you can't fly it. So there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Carry it on my backpack, in my wallet.
And it's free. There's somebody out there paying.
You can't fail it.
It's impossible to fail it, isn't it?
You cannot fail it.
You cannot fail it.
Like
if you get the answer wrong, you can answer it again.
I mean, I went through it in like 5 minutes.
It takes 5 minutes to do, man.
And if you're any experience at all, it's super simple. And even if you don't even know what FAA stands for, you can take it, and in 20 minutes you've got your trust, and you've got the knowledge that goes with it. It's even more important.
I personally think that trust test should be branded or pamphlet in every drone manufacturer on the shelf, because there's a lot of people that don't know about it.
One of the FAA things I do is a round table about education. We meet about every other month. And we're trying to figure that same thing out. That's a problem with drones. With aircraft, everybody flies from an airport. The pilots all go through the same portal. There's a thing there. There's a pilot information area. We ain't got that.
No.
So a QR code is something we've thrown around where you've got these multinational manufacturers. They're going to have to figure out which ones go to the United States. Now, they do anyway, kind of. So if have somebody there at the end of the line, up and going to America, take off a sticker. There's a QR code.
Yep.
And then the thing, boom. And when I just registered the P4 a couple days ago, DJI is sort of doing that as far as once you register, it says, okay, congratulations. Now you need to get before you fly and a couple other things. So the manufacturers are a huge part of that, and getting their buy-in, I don't think is going to be that hard once it's set, but a QR code will be dynamite. Everybody's QR coding these days.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That would be a great idea.
Right on the outside of the box.
Well, I'll tell you what, Vic, I gotta say, I appreciate you being an advocate for the drone community and all of us hobbyists. You look out for the little guys. So
yeah, well, that's what we do. I'm a hobbyist too. I got my little guys right over here that I play with. Again, I suck at it, but they're fun.
They are
cats around the house.
Now, when it comes to you saying that, Matty, thank you for taking the words out of my mouth, jackass, because I was just about to go ahead and say that. But anyway, like I said earlier, thank you for, like you told me you're going to do, is to basically promote my link for the channel on your social media. I really appreciate that. Now, to answer Lon, I think you already said that the module can actually move from drone to drone. You already said that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. From drone to front. I'm not sure what he means.
Yeah, he meant drone.
You can put it wherever you want, Lon.
How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Adrian,
one of the reasons I like doing this. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just one more thing. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get off my soapbox here in a minute. I promise. You get me started talking. But one of the reasons I love doing stuff like this is because we and y'all get the word out about safety, get the word out about regulations. And safety is first, second, third, and last. In your decision-making process, that's, is it safe first, second, third, and last question, is it safe? Yes, fly. One of the things I mentioned I get to do with the FAA as a safety team, Drone Pro, is counsel people who made a mistake. And I'd rather be in front of that than on the backside of that.
100%.
I don't want, and the times I've done it, it's been awesome. Great people. One was a paperwork snafu that has since been fixed. And it's just, if we're getting the safe word out to everybody, it's a good day.
I agree. 100%.
Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Go ahead with questions. I'm sorry.
Adrian, did you find that question from Sunrise Media?
I think I already passed it. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I'll paraphrase it for Vic. He said, Vic, can a remote pilot in command have a trust certificate, but not the new drone flyer testing out the drone and operating the sticks?
You can have anybody, if they're flying, you can have the person manipulating the sticks or person manipulating the controls. Sorry. Okay. They do not have to have a trust or the 107. Okay. And I'm going to go with a 95% sure they don't have to have a trust on that. That has not come up before. That's a good question. Yeah. I would email I would text my FAA guy, but right now I know he's in LA working the Super Bowl, so I'm not going to bug him right now. But take it anyway. It's a great time to have to introduce somebody to the FAA safety. Just have them do it. But at person manipulating. Sorry, let me try that in English. The person manipulating the controls, I do not think has to have either, but they should anyway, because they should have time on the sticks before you give them your drone. And if they've got time on the sticks, they better have their trust or their 107. I'm not giving anybody my drone to fly first time.
I agree with you on that one.
Vic, you mentioned earlier that you needed to have your license to fly someone else's drone. So how is that different?
The trust?
No, I forget what you were saying earlier, but it was.
Me too.
Yeah, you're talking about like if someone brought a drone with them.
Yeah. No, that's the trust thing. That's if you're a 107 and we're at the Denver Drone Pilot Social Hour up at having a beer. Well, not having a beer before we have a beer. And my buddy brings a brand new drone I've never flown. Skydio 2X, whatever the next one is. But it's only recreationally registered. I have to have my trust certificate in order to fly it, because if I'm flying a recreational registered drone, I'm technically not flying under 107 rules.
Okay, but
does that make sense?
But the person manning the sticks doesn't have to have. I'm confused at what you just said.
Oh, that's two separate things.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you can have, as remote pilot in command, you can have somebody else flying your drone while you're, let's dual ops. Okay, if I'm flying, there's a guy I work dual ops with. He flies the drone and I fly the the other way around. I fly the drone, he flies the camera. But if I'm flying the camera, and somebody else is on the sticks, actually that won't work, because then you can't take control. Let's just say you're standing there and you're being the art director as the art pick.
Yep.
And the person on the sticks doesn't have to have their 107, but they should have their trust. I don't think it's a legal requirement. That has not come up yet, but I will get back to you on that.
Okay.
Actually, I'm half expecting a text, because I got a funny feeling some of my FA folks are listening in on this. So, I would just say, just have them do it again, because why are you turning over a commercial job to somebody who's never flown before? And if they've flown before, they should have trust or their 107.
Right.
My thoughts, anyway.
Okay.
Did I confuse the issue, or did I settle the issue? I'm sorry.
I mean, you're fine. I think we all understand.
I think it's about clear as mud.
Awesome. But I did my job. My FAA training is coming in handy.
So Vic, Tom from Lens Capture Online asked the question.
You interact with Mike Leo at all? You're going to have to tell me who Mike Leo is. No, that's Elite. Never mind. I don't think I have. But that doesn't mean I haven't, because I know some people just first name. If he's an FAA guy? I don't know. I've worked with some Mikes at the FAA. I know most of their last names, but not all of them. Again, I don't work for the FAA. I want to make sure people understand that. I'm just a volunteer, do things with the FAA. So fun stuff like that. So no, I have not. I don't know of a Mike Leo. That doesn't mean I haven't worked with him on one program or another.
Okay. We haven't, let's see.
Pull up Bob Casey's question. I think everybody else has been answering his question to him, except for Bill.
Bob
what was
Casey,
that?
This one right here.
Yeah.
What if he's okay? What if he's for the 107 or the trust?
For the trust.
For the trust.
If he's a 107 pilot.
Yeah. If he's a 107 and he's testing the props, he's probably flying under 107. Showing his grandkids, that would probably be recreational. So do the trust. But again, just take it anyway.
Just
so
take
it free, and you've done it in one. The only time you ever have to retake it is if you lose it.
Yeah.
Because the FAA doesn't store that data personally or publicly.
Yeah.
So just take it. But yeah, technically, if you've got a drone in the air, you better have your trust or your 107.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you're just showing your kids around, that's probably a trust issue. No,
Can I have it downloaded?
That came out wrong.
Can I have it downloaded on my phone as a screen?
Exactly. You can have a digital copy. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all
I've got
you
one
get
in my
is a digital
wallet,
copy.
one in my one in my policy and procedure manual, and one on my phone because I'm paranoid and I lose things.
Yeah, all they do is like it's a website with a picture on it. So all it is a digital copy.
Yep. You have to print it out if you want it printed.
You print them out. They even sell them on.
They sell them. Please don't buy.
No. I bought the Amazon hard copy one.
Well, you can
keep it in my wallet.
Do that. You know, if you're into that.
I just don't lose it.
Do they have a Part 107 on Amazon too, where I can just?
Yeah, shit, that would be nice. I'd be getting it on there instead.
If you do, don't tell me, please.
Right? I'm actually studying for mine now. I
Part
finally.
107 is for furtherance of business. You know, that's not a term actually, but a Part 107 can still fly recreationally. Yes, the test is for all pilots, or should be. The trust test. Yeah, if you're flying recreationally, all trust. But again, getting back to, and I'm going to hammer this one more time, if you've got your 107, you can fly recreationally as long as you're flying under 107 rules. And the most frequently non-107 rules that you might come across is if you're flying your buddy's drone that is not registered under 107, it's registered under his recreational operator number, then you need to take your trust.
So if you're Part 107 and you're flying someone else's registered drone, that's wrong.
If it's recreationally registered.
Okay.
And you don't have your trust.
So if you've got Part 107 and trust,
you can fly whatever puts in front of you as long as it's under 55 pounds.
Got it.
And actually, you could fly over 55 pounds, and now that's a trust. I keep saying trust issue, and that's just the wrong way to say that. That's a trust requirement.
I hate they call it.
And if you give me a 55-pound drone, it's a trust issue as well. But so yeah, Lon's got some great questions.
Lon's always got good questions.
So I have a question about the furtherance of business. It's such a weird phrase. That phrase, YouTube channel, not making any money. Like where does all that?
Okay, good question. That comes up all the time, the time. And most of the answers you see online are wrong. It is. People love to help other people, and they kind of jump ahead of what their knowledge base is. The FAA doesn't care about your YouTube channel. I promise you that. What they care about is your intent when you were flying.
Okay.
If it's recreational and you're just out flying, okay, I love to use there's some train enthusiasts out there. They're crazy off base people. They're just not here all together. And I have some of my friends, so I can say that. They love to go out and shoot videos and take photographs of trains and put them on their channel. Now, it's just recreational for them, and they're going to put that on there. They're fine. They can put that stuff on there, even if it's a monetized channel, sort of. But you've got to have, I mean, the monetization of a YouTube channel is pretty strict. And if you're at that point, then you're flying for monetization of your YouTube channel. But so many people worry about, don't put it on there. The FAA is going to find you. That's not the case. Just go out, have fun, take cool videos, take cool photographs, put them on YouTube, put them on Snapchat, or not Snapchat. What's the other one? Instagram. The FAA is not going to care because it was a recreational flight. And as long as you're not flying that video to put on your YouTube channel to get more views, to make more money, that's a 107 operation.
Okay. What if your YouTube channel doesn't really make money?
If it's monetized and you're flying in order to try and get more viewers to get more money, then yeah, it's a 107 operation.
Okay.
I know it's just the tiniest little distinction, but it's a big thing.
So if like every year when you file your tax return, you go in debt every year, you're not. You're not flying real estate. You're not flying, commercial jobs, like literally just flying on my lunch break and putting it on my YouTube channel. That's considered, even though.
What's your intent when you're in the air? What's going through your brain when you're in the air?
To make a cool video.
There you go.
To be creative.
To be creative, is it just to have fun, or is it to put on your YouTube channel to get more views, so you can eventually make more money? That's what you got to think about. See, it's all about personal responsibility.
I put mine on YouTube to save my videos.
There you go. Storage.
I'll just say that then. I literally haven't made any money yet.
That's fine. I have very few viewers on my YouTube. My daughter's is kind of big on TikTok, and she's got more views on one video than I've got on my entire YouTube channel.
Now when it comes to this guy, Vic, Ken, place it here. I'm sure that you probably already went ahead and touch up on this, but can you maybe light a little, put a little bit of light on what he just
said? If you're one more time, this is just for you. Place it here. If you are flying with your 107 under 107 rules, even if it's recreationally, you do not need your trust. The biggest example is going to be if you're flying a recreationally registered drone. One of your drones, let's say you've got a DJI FPV and you're never going to fly it commercially, so you're registered recreationally as you put your recreational number on it. You cannot fly that without a trust. You cannot fly your friend's drone who's recreationally registered without a trust. And again, if you're 107, take the trust, because a lot of your friends aren't going to be 107 and they want to know about the trust. If you've taken it, you can tell them about it. That's my ambassador hat, FAA ambassador hat, wearing right there. It's just like, just do it. We'll steal Nike's logo or whatever it's called. Just do it.
Adrian, I'm going to pull myself out. You've got Tom in the back room.
Okay. Hey, Tom, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, good, Adrian. Good to see you. Hey, everyone on the
phone. See you here in this capture online.
Vic, I asked the question about Mike Leo, and the reason I asked the question. The reason I asked the question is just retired from the New York City Fire Department. Mike Leo's the captain, and he's on the Drone Advisory Committee.
Oh, then
I'm wondering how much from the FAA safety side is getting back up into the DAC. So
from the DAC to the
have
FAA?
that base of knowledge also.
It depends on the subject. If you look at, when they came, the remote ID was an original DAC thing. A lot of that came out of that.
Right.
What were some of the last ones? See, I've only been on the DAC a year. And we haven't met in person yet, which sucks because I did go to a DAC meeting before in person when it was at the near Baltimore, and got to meet a lot of these people. But a lot of it is, and again, we're just an advisory committee. We don't say FAA do this. We say FAA, and I know you know that. So this is more for the other people.
It's allowed.
These are the ideas.
Yeah.
We're more. It's a little more than whisper in the ear, but they do take what we give them seriously, because that's what we're for. That's any government. There's all kinds of advisory committees. All branches of the government have them. It's not just this FAA thing, but they're getting input from stakeholders. And for the first time, Kenji and myself are UAS citizen operator stakeholders, whatever it is. So for the first time this last year, there's actually people who fly drones for a living on the DAC, which is awesome. But yeah, they do take what is brought out in the report seriously. Will it all come in? No,
of course not.
That's a government agency.
I mean, because you have to take up some of your time deciding on what the correct pronouns to use are. Also, right?
I am not commenting on that. I will not comment on that. I'm not dumb.
It's great to see how government continues to spin its wheels. Okay?
I'm just going to sit here and smile and say I really loved working with my task force at K-12 STEM.
But I'm a huge fan of the FAA. They've been around as long as I've been on the planet, and they've kept our airspace safe. So
yeah,
everyone
the
I've dealt
FAA
with on the
folks
FAA
are awesome.
side has been stand up.
Yep.
So,
and I'm not just saying that, but everybody to a person, with one exception, at the FAA have been great to work with, and that one exception was an ATC controller or an ATC manager in a medium-sized airport in California who wouldn't listen to me. So we'll just go with that.
Level of importance that far surpassed his position.
Some people consider it a fiefdom.
Yeah, well,
no, one person.
Exactly.
But everybody, the folks at the UAS integration office are just awesome people to work with. They're a lot of fun to work with, and they care. They give a crap about drones, which is awesome. So anyway,
yeah, it's been my experience, definitely from the public safety side of the fence.
Right, right. And I do know Mike. I do know Mike, but I've never met him. You know, I know him as a fellow DAC member. That's it.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is, Vic, is that you said that the FAA loves drone, but from what I've been
not all of them.
I've been told that the FAA hates drones.
No, I don't think the FAA hates drones.
So why do they make it so hard for recreational or Part 107 to fly when there's a whole lot of business that pretty much it seems like these big companies are lobbying, you know, to the FAA or the government to get what they want, and they're getting it, but they're making it so hard for us.
Okay, what big companies are getting it? Let me ask you that.
I mean, I've heard about, you know, Amazon, the whole drone delivery type of stuff, you know.
But are they getting anything they're asking for?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just hearing that they are, but I'm not sure. I don't work for them.
Right. No, and I understand. I know people who did. Amazon is not as all-powerful as people think when it comes to the FAA. No. Would they like the 200 feet and below for their own stuff? I'm sure they would. Will they get it? No. There's no way. That's what RID and then UTM, unmanned traffic management, is all about. Yeah. It's basically going to be, okay, Amazon's going to go out that way, or a drone up's going to take their Walmart delivery, go out that way, and they're going to know who's up there, and it's going to be up to them and the pilots, the remote pilots, to avoid each other. Line not quite dead, but it's on life support.
Well, it's basically establishing those traffic lanes in the sky and maintaining them, except we're maintaining them in a 3D environment. Right?
Yeah. Ish. One of the nice things about drones is there are no traffic lanes. That's the point.
Right. Yeah.
But there is going to be the unmanned traffic management systems that will be used to talk to each other and low-level manned aviation. So how's that going to look in 3 or 4 or 5 years? I don't know. When you start throwing the air taxis in there, the unmanned air taxis, or advanced air mobility is what they're calling them now. I don't know how that's going to look. It's
well, Vic, do you feel that drone technology has also positively impacted manned aviation?
Absolutely. Most of it. Now, you've got some that obviously it isn't. Aerial photography being the biggest one, the vertical I'm in, aerial cinematography. Right. But you're seeing right now, traditional aviation is a huge workflow issue, or not workflow issue. They're having trouble getting people to come in. There's a pilot shortage. There's a mechanic shortage. Everybody's, they're aging out because that spark in aviation isn't there anymore. It's, everybody's playing video games. Well, now a drone's a video game in the air. And so that's really creating that aviation spark in our students and our young kids. It's like, hey, you know what? This is fun to do. I can do this with a 747 or whatever. Maybe not 747 by the time they get around to flying, but a 380, whatever. And yes, I think do I think it's going to save aviation? I think that's kind of grandiose on our part, but absolutely it's going to help manned aviation industry. Somebody's got to design the drone. Somebody's got to design the aircraft. Somebody's got to figure out how to, the lift versus drag versus weight, all that stuff. So I think drones are going to play a big part in that. And manned aviators are really appreciating the drones. A lot of them have 107s. A lot of them have 107s.
Yes.
Guys, do me a favor. Guys, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up on the stream. I really appreciate it. Go ahead, Sean. I think you had a question.
Yeah. So my question, ever since I saw that like Amazon, whoa,
wow,
bless you.
That was exciting.
Sorry,
you're good. Ever since I saw that like Amazon, UPS will be like delivering packages via drone. Do they have to be? And I've seen where there's like security drones that are tethered to the ground, so they like kind of hover over buildings and stuff like that. Does every drone that's in the sky have to be manned, or are Amazon package delivery
You mean under
drones
control?
Autonomous?
Autonomous. Well, they're going to be autonomous. Okay, here is Vic's theory of drone delivery. It's going to be a last mile issue. You know, out here in Colorado, we've got a lot of rural stuff. Mountains, same deal. You've got a UPS driver in his little big brown truck, or her big brown truck.
Okay.
Is going to hit, you know, every single last mile around them, and it's going to take them all day to deliver 20 packages. If they've got a central point, they can park the top of the UPS truck, opens up, out go drones, boom, 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 boom. They come back with another package, boom, 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 boom. I think in situations like that, it's going to be phenomenal. Hospitals, inter-hospital transfers. Absolutely. Are you going to be able to call up, you know, go on Amazon.com and order your whatever, you know, under 5 pound, whatever, and it's going to show up by drone in 3 hours? I don't think that's a reality.
Okay.
But I've been wrong before.
It also depends on where, right? I mean, your urban areas are not going to see that level of penetration.
No, I don't think
from you know, remote delivery by air. Where in the less densely populated suburbia or fringe suburbia and rural area, you're right on the money, Vic. I mean, it makes complete sense from a business standpoint to have that distributed AI-supported distribution. Right?
I can see some, like, let's say a lawyer needs a package, you know, over, you know, the other side of New York City. Okay, first of all, you got to get rid of the avigation law in New York City,
right?
But right now the standard method is you put it on a bike carrier and he hauls butt through New York's Manhattan traffic and probably dies. But they can put that packet on a drone and go from point A to point B. That will the other lawyer's office or the courthouse go up to the top of the roof, pick it up, stuff like that. I can see that as another possibility. Hospitals are loving it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the skies are not going to be full of little brown square drones with UPS on the side of them.
No.
I don't think
so. Like Ready Player One, where like Pizza Hut delivers a pizza by drone. Have y'all seen that?
Gimmick. I'm sorry, that's a gimmick. But you know what? It'll probably go over big college campuses. I can almost guarantee that, especially colleges where mom and dad are paying the bills.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw a video where a guy like took a whole bunch of fans and made a drone in his backyard, and he lifted up off the ground, and now we've got like jet propelled hands and. Like, give it 10 years. I don't know what we're going to see.
Pizza Hut could support STEM education, right? At the college.
There you go. Pizza Hut, if you're listening, yes, please reach out to your local STEM and give them money.
I'm still waiting for the dehydrated pizza from Back to the Future. That hasn't happened yet.
You know, in 10 years from now, let's tag this and set our alarms. 10 years from now, let's go back and see what we talked about and see who was right and who was wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope that there's this great thriving drone business out there, delivery otherwise. But I just don't see the delivery of drones as being that big a deal.
Now, I do have to say I watched a documentary a couple months ago. They were doing drone delivery of medicine in remote areas of like Africa and stuff like that.
Zipline is phenomenal.
Zipline, yeah. Yeah, I actually did a presentation at Northwell Community Medical Center on that drone delivery. And in fact, doing some testing at Long Island Jewish Hospital, their campuses, the intra-hospital delivery of blood products, serums, things like that. So, you know, look, what Zipline was able to do on the African continent was definitely groundbreaking, and it proved out the benefit portion of this. So, you know, when you can transverse terrain, that's you don't have that structure in place like we're so used to here in the United States. Okay, but there, I mean, a woman going into labor, preeclampsia, has an internal bleed, gets blood product delivered by a drone, survives, and then gets transported to a hospital 2 days later, and that hospital trip took a day and a half. Okay, so that's your value proposition right there.
Yes.
Now, how that pans out in the U.S., I mean, there's nothing but opportunity here. Nothing but opportunity.
We have the infrastructure to support traditional for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could be 15 miles from a main city in the bush in Africa and be 8-10 hours by vehicle.
Right.
So it's a huge thing. And I think if I remember correctly, about midway through last year, Zipline did their 1,000th delivery.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's phenomenal. And they're here. I think they're testing in North Carolina.
Yeah, they were doing some testing in North Carolina. They were also doing some testing in upstate New York.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They've got that.
In the
New York has
corridor
that great
in upstate.
BVLOS corridor.
Yeah.
We're jealous.
Absolutely.
We're jealous in Colorado. New Air is doing some phenomenal stuff up there.
So somebody went ahead and said that the trust test is more like to keep count of people that fly drones, because if that wasn't the case, why will it make it so easy to fail or not pass?
They don't keep records on the trust.
No, they keep count. Yeah, absolutely. They know exactly how many trust certificates they've given out. And Greg at Pilot Institute's given out more than anybody else, I'd like to say. But as far as the personal information, that's why if you lose your card, you have to take it again. You can't go back into the system and have it reprinted out because it doesn't exist. It's gone.
So the count isn't very good if people keep losing their cards and they have to retake the test.
We're hoping that not that many people have lost their card. But
but from an analytics standpoint, that's not a very good count.
I'll say 0.01%.
Well, that's why the conspiracy theory really doesn't hold true then, right? I mean, the trust is more for education. Okay,
that's all it is.
To get that information out there and to put some onus behind it.
Right?
Which I agree. It should be a requirement when you open up that box. Okay, from Best Buy.
You're going to have to get manufacturer buy-in, and that's going to be a pain in the nose.
Yeah.
To do that. The reason they have it is because of Congress in 49 USC 44809. Number 7 says has passed an aeronautical knowledge and safety test as described, blah, 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 blah. That's why the trust exists. The FAA didn't sit around a table one day and say, hey, let's do this. Congress said, FAA, do this.
Yeah.
Gave them 180 days, and it took them 5 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
But that's the FAA. Anybody who's dealt with or any government agency for any long time. Congress says, here, do this. And I say, okay, eventually. So.
Yeah. Someone put in the comments that I just saw on the screen about like why you have to take a no-fail test. Like, to me, it's like the sexual harassment test that I have to take at work every year. Like,
do you pass it?
Well, it's a no-fail test.
Ignorance is no defense, and you can't claim ignorance.
That's a good part.
But it's like you just push check boxes until the green one shows up, and then you hit next. Like,
but that's the way you're not supposed to do it.
I
They're
didn't learn a
assuming
thing.
people are being responsible. You can't force that on anybody, which is unfortunate.
Right.
Sort of. But the reason it's called a test is because that's what it's described as, number 7. This should have been called a recreational knowledge program.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been called a test because it's not really a test, because a test means you can fail it. But since Congress called it a test, the FAA had to call it a test as well. If the FAA said a knowledge program, then it would have been called, they would have had to come up with something other than trust, because there's no.
Well, you'd need a whole new committee before you could do that.
Oh, you need a whole committee to do anything.
Yeah.
That's why I'm worried about what happens with remote ID. If it gets thrown out, we're just going to go back to the dark ages on that.
Oh my goodness.
And DHS is going to get involved again. The FAA had remote ID ready, and then the DHS got a hold of it, and some other government agencies, and just tore it apart. You can actually, if you read the NPRM, you can kind of tell where one paragraph was inserted not really based on the paragraph in front of it. You're going, I don't get this, but designed by committee. Too many Indians, not enough chiefs.
I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you said, Vic, that you are a volunteer for the FAA. Why not make that also a full-time job? Because you seem like you're pretty knowledgeable about what you're saying.
I would be a terrible, crappy government employee. I'd either be in charge or fired in a week, and probably fired, because I don't deal with incompetence. And I'm not saying the government's incompetent. But I also
some of them are.
Some it is, but, you know,
no comment.
I used to work for them, and
FAA folks are
awesome.
They are. I don't deal with inefficiencies very well at all. You know, I've been a business owner since 1988, and inefficiency drives me up the wall. And so and my father was government from the day he graduated college till the day he retired. And so I've heard the stories, and he would tell me things he does. And it's like, why? He goes, because that's what we're supposed to do. It's like, this dumb. That's how it works. So I would be a terrible government employee. That's why. And they haven't asked me.
I just got done doing 40 years with the government.
Exactly. There you go.
I had to, I have to say, very efficient, because your life depended on it. So
right.
You had no choice. Okay? A lot of structure in place. A lot of structure. But that structure can be frustrating as well. Okay? Like trying to get command chiefs to understand where the value proposition is, right? So you have that. So you know, you're not off base there. It can take a long time to bring something to the front line. Mm-hmm. Okay, because there are varying levels of bureaucracy above you have to deal with. Okay,
yep. It's the bureaucracy, I think, that probably drove you nuts, rather than
absolutely
day-to-day stuff.
Anything above me was more arduous than what I had to deal with below me. Okay, any day of the week. Every step up the rung, you wish to step back down if possible. Okay, so.
Yep, mushroom management.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Vic, I gotta. This guy, John Soper, thank you for commenting and ask a question.
What's going to be the VTX equivalent to an open source ELRS? Okay, I know all except one of those words. What's an ELRS?
I hate acronyms.
I have no idea what John
VTX is transmitter, video transmitter.
ELRS stand for?
Acronym is an inside joke. If you know, you know, but if you don't, you don't.
Mm-hmm. So,
what does the VTX stand for, Vic?
What?
What does VTX stand for, if you know that one?
In my book, it stands for video transmitter.
Okay.
So your output from your drone to your controller is VTX.
Where's Maddie when you need him?
Yeah, might be wrong. But yeah, the FAA loves its acronyms.
I do have a question for you.
Express Long Range System is a new radio control link for quads.
That's way over me. I don't do that. I don't build my drones.
You see Maddie's comment on ELRS?
Is new open source transmission signal.
It's an open source.
I know nothing about that. Sorry.
Okay.
Adrian.
But, it will help. It will help in the extended BVLOS. It'll help in the extended BVLOS situations. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the big boys with their big toys, running those pipelines and those inspections on the power lines and that kind of stuff, where they're running out 15, 20, 30 miles once they get their waiver, then that's going to be phenomenal for them.
Now you said Vic, that you don't like to work with incompetent people, which unfortunately some of the government people are.
Yeah, that was the wrong.
You don't have to admit it, but I'll do that for you. When it comes to DJI, I've been hearing rumors that DJI are going to be banned in the U.S. or they're going to try to do that again. Have you heard anything about that?
Oh yeah. Okay. So, sorry. The biggest and the latest idiocy that comes out of a certain administration's holdover at the FCC is talking about not allowing any more drones to apply for Chinese drones, and they're picking on DJI, but Autel's in the same boat. Not allowing them new frequencies for the new drones. So the FCC would say no.
The FCC.
The FCC. So I think that is posturing on the part of somebody who was a leftover from the former administration, trying to make his mark before he's replaced by the current administration. I actually tweeted out to him, and he tweeted back something I wrote. So I don't think that's going to be a big deal. I think it's posturing on his part. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but I just don't think it will, because that's going to kill a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I don't think anybody that's elected or appointed in DC is that stupid.
Right.
And as far as the other stuff,
that money go.
Pardon?
I doubt that the government would be dumb enough to let all that money go away.
One would hope not. One would hope not. Now, the country of origin ban, which is actually in a couple of different bills, one in the House, one in the Senate, it has to be worked out if it passes both in the conference committee. That would have a little more indirect or even direct impact, because it would not allow Chinese drones, and that would include Autel, except for I think one of their drones possibly, to be used by any government agency. Which, if you don't work for government agencies, say, okay, so what? But if you contract for government agencies, grant money. Somebody, Kenji actually brought up in one of these discussions, okay, all these people who got PPP loans and use that money, that's government money. That's federal money. Can we use it to buy? And yes, somebody just posted government uses DJI drones. Absolutely right, Andrew. Great story. Real quick. Here in Colorado, we have the Air Force Academy. We went and toured their drone program. It was awesome with the Central Colorado UAS Club. And do you know what they trained the cadets on? Or they did 2 years ago when I was there? Phantoms. They learned how to fly Phantoms. And they're not connected to the internet. And that's the key. When it comes to that kind of stuff, I'm going to get back on my soapbox for just a minute. Sorry. When it comes to the country of origin ban, the smart thing to do is not have a country origin ban. What you need to do is come up with, okay, these are the security standards that every drone manufacturer has to meet in order to be acceptable to be bought by U.S. agencies or government funds. If you would do that, then everybody's be on the same playing field. Now, that doesn't address the fact that DJI can make drones, and Autel can make drones a lot cheaper than U.S. drones or U.S. manufacturers. But it's if you deny a drone based on country of origin, then who's ever not been banned has an unfair advantage and can price accordingly. Where's the competition in that? Give everybody the same playing field and let the chips fall where they may.
It all comes down to cybersecurity.
It does.
I mean,
absolutely. And I get it.
Cybersecurity. So if you have the standard, like you said, in place, you must meet the standard. The standard, at least from the government side of the fence, would be the ability to encapsulate your transmissions. Okay, and there are systems out there today that do that. Okay, the thing is to try to buy as a public safety agency, to try to buy product today. The best product on the market to buy for a small mom and pop, fire department or police department or EMS even, is of course DJI. Hands down.
Autel's getting their chops in there too.
Autel's starting to get their ducks in a row, but you have the same situation.
Exactly.
Then at the component level, I mean, look, the FCC is part of Department of Commerce. Okay. So the FCC that's the arm to give us heartache here, is the FCC. If they don't approve the frequency, the drone can't be produced and sold. Okay.
Sold here in the United States. Yep.
Yeah. And to buy, and if you see what's coming out on the blue side of the fence, as far as the blue UAS, you're paying 3 to 4 times the price with limited capability. And the problem there is these small departments can't afford that. They can't afford to spend that money they scrape and claw for with grants to spend on those blue UASs at this point in time.
And I've flown one of them.
Well,
I won't say which one, but I said it flew like a drunk P3.
I did
Now,
some
Big
testing.
Moss, Lon did not have another question for
Lon's
you.
got another great question, and
Hey,
I want to answer. I want to address something that Drone 683 or 863 said too. But we'll do Lon first.
Hey, Adrian, before we get
I'm
started,
excited. I'm excited about what LTE is going to possibly do with the Mavic 3. But again, they're going to have BVLOS issues, and also those aren't that you can't buy them yet in the United States.
Right.
So that's got to go through the FCC. But as of right now, you can't even. I don't think you can even get one to try here in the United States. I don't quote me on that, but it's not there yet. At least the DJI one. There are some who have tried the LTE in certain drones, and it's worked out pretty well. But you've got the latency that will restrict a little bit of what you can do with it.
Yeah.
Were you saying something, Dre?
No. I was just looking for which question that Justin.
It was. He said drones. 863 said Autel drones are manufactured in the United States now. One is, but they're still all Chinese parts. They do have a manufacturing facility, I think, in Washington. Sorry, John McBride, if you're listening, I forgot. But John will probably text me, let me know. But they're still a Chinese company manufactured in China. Autel drones are not an American company. They have an American subsidiary.
Yeah.
But they are not manufactured here. They have one that is assembled here, and I'm not 100% sure on which one that is. I think it's just a government agency or government
Dre,
on the.
I just got to say thanks, Dre. I got to bail. I'm in a Pacific time zone right now, and the wife is going to get hangry anytime. So,
thank you for popping in, Tom. I appreciate it.
It was awesome. Thank you, sir. Great questions too. Good talking to you.
Yeah, gentlemen, take care.
Mike for me if you see him.
Yeah, definitely. Stay safe.
All right. Always.
Fly safe, guys. Take care.
Thanks for what you do. Thanks for your service.
Hey,
Hey, Vic, do you have
I'm getting ready to bounce out too, bro. I got to be up at 4:30 in the morning to get to work.
All right, Big Mike. Thank you for coming in, buddy.
All right, guys. I will see all y'all later. Y'all have a good night.
Now,
my questions, Vic.
All right, take it easy. Thank you, sir.
Question, Vic. Andrew asks, are they gonna continue doing the Phantom line drones?
I doubt it. Simply
Probably
because
not.
of how will there be some offshoot? Maybe, but the foldable drones like the Mavics, I think, are just the future. Will there be incorporations? I think DJI missed the boat on the Mavic 3, even though I own two of them, by not making the main sensor mechanical, by not having optical zoom. They should have just gotten rid of the telezoom and never put it on there. I think that was somebody thought that would be cool, or they had a bunch of them sitting around. I don't know why they came up with that. It's not like they. I already think that, but I think the Phantom line is dead.
Yep.
I had a hard time finding this one.
Yeah.
Would you be able to shine a little bit of light on what Curtis Dart said?
Oh, great, Curtis. What a fallout's going to happen. Oh boy, if I knew that. Satellite access. Well, it depends. I mean, yeah. The Russians have their, we use the Glasnost, I think it is, on a lot of
GLONASS.
GLONASS. Thank you. Glasnost. That's something. That's the Polish thing.
That's a different one.
Lightning bug. GLONASS.
It's if they blow the satellites out of the sky like supposedly they're threatening, yeah, we're all kind of hosed. And I don't think drones are going to be that big a deal. It's everything else is going to be just as bad. Drones will be the small people. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't. Can they block it? Can a government agency say, okay, can they whitelist the receivers? I mean, I don't know. How does that work with GPS?
I don't know.
Yes, a lot of airports have Aeroscope.
They're running off the GPS drones are running off multiple satellite.
Yeah, exactly. Multiple systems. I think 3 on the Mavic 3s, isn't it?
Yeah, the Mavic 3's got GPS, BDO, and what was the Galileo.
There you go.
Now, I think that's what the problem is with the whole GPS acquisition with that, because the Air 2S's have GLONASS and we don't have problems with satellite count at all.
It's a software issue. It's not software. I'm sorry, a firmware issue, because it came about in the last update. I do know that DJI is working on that because I supplied them some data.
Hope so.
Yeah.
A lot of people are pissed off about that right now.
The next update. Yeah, because I tested one Monday, Tuesday last week. It took me 4 minutes and 20 seconds, which in Colorado 420 is an interesting number.
That's odd.
To yeah, it's like this is weird. To get satellite. And then I did it here at my house and the next afternoon, and it took 1:48, I think. I don't remember exactly.
I still think that's long.
That is long, and they have my logs now. When I activated this little guy right here day before yesterday and put it out, it took 36 seconds to log for satellite log, and that's brand new out of the box. So, and I didn't have the problem with the Mavic 3s at first. It was at the latest update. They fixed its flying characteristics, but now it takes too long to get in the air.
A lot of people are saying that.
I think they'll figure it out.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt.
They usually always do.
Yep.
A lot of people
do you have any take on the Paradanafi AI in the USA?
I have not flown it. I do know somebody who has flown. He has a Paradanafi. I know two people. One, he doesn't like it because it feels like a toy, and he's actually getting rid of it.
Not the Anafi, not the Anafi, the Anafi AI, which is the 4G.
Oh yeah, that's the one that they're putting out with
Verizon.
I was trying to say
it's got LTE in it.
Verizon. I have not seen it. I think it's a really cool concept. If they can get rid of the latency issue, and the regulatory hurdles, obviously, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I can see it in certain situations, but I think the technology is going to outperform the regulation. If it's not, well, it is already, because you've got the remote operation ability, but you don't have a BVLOS waiver.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting. I don't know enough technically about it to know how it'll fly.
Sure.
Curtis asked about Washington State, specifically Seattle. You're talking probably about the Seattle Film Commission, which we're working with at DSPA, which I should probably talk about. But we have a list of people we're going to send to the Seattle Film Commission. They've got a really, really stupid permit system that they know is stupid. And so actually, when I reached out to them at the end of last year, they said, yeah, we're going to work on it this year. And would you give us a list of people willing to work with us? So that'll go out next week. It was supposed to go out Tuesday, and they can get it done. And the Seattle Film Commissioner is looking forward to working with a bunch of different drone pilots to make their permit system much more workable for smaller operations. They've got a great system. If you're filming a big production in Seattle, it's one of the best systems I've seen. But the trouble is, it's a big, huge net that gets everybody. So the real estate folks and things like that, it's like, oh, you have to file a flight plan with us every single job. So you're shooting 3 or 4 or 6 jobs a day. That's just a logistical nightmare. But they know that, and so they're working on it. So I think that's probably what we're talking about, Curtis. And thanks for bringing that up.
Yep, that's what he was talking about.
Yep. I want to talk about Drone Service Provider Alliance real quick. That's Kenji Sugahara and myself and a few people on the board. We are a 501c6. We're based here in Colorado. I'm here because I'm here. I'm the VP and COO, and then Kenji Sugahara is president and CEO. And I like to use the word advocacy group, but since we're a 501c6, we're technically not an advocacy group because we can't lobby. But what we do is we reach out to legislators both at the local, state, and federal level and say, look, if you do this law, if you work this in a proposed manner, this is what's going to happen to the small and medium-sized drone service providers. The big companies have the Commercial Drone Alliance, things like that. Skydio's got a lot of money they're throwing at things, so they've got the way to put the word out. But the smaller folks, we figure maybe 10 and below companies, which is the vast majority of drone owners, or drone companies, don't have that voice. So Kenji and I have been blessed to be able to work with not only the local folks, like in Ohio, in Washington, in Utah, in Missouri, here in Colorado, in Oregon with Kenji. And we've been able to talk with senators. And we actually able to talk with one of the offices of the White House about some legislation coming up. And just say how that's going to affect the people who try to use these things to make a living. So that's kind of what we do. And both Kenji and I are both on the ACK. He as the DSPA vice president or president. Sorry, I just demoted him. And I'm on as the owner of Moss Photography. So Kenji Kenji came to me a couple of years ago and said, "Hey, let's do this." And it's like I said no, and then I said yes. So we've been doing it ever since.
Nice.
Dre, you really be in a chatterbox tonight, sir.
I know.
You
know what it is?
What's going on?
I'm using my mind melt to speak through Vic.
When you got somebody like that on your panel, yeah, there's not. You don't need to talk. There's the guy with all the information right there.
There you go.
Well, some of it, most of it. I'm not
There you
perfect.
go.
I've got plenty of my FAA friends will reach out and say, "Vic, why did you say that?" But
Well,
I'm getting better. They haven't had to do that in a while, so
they're always welcome to come on.
I probably could get one for you.
Oh, good, sure.
He's busy. He's busy in LA right now, though. I don't know if you've seen his commercials and stuff.
Well, give me his number. I can track him down tomorrow.
I can't do that. If I ever give out his number, he's going to disown me.
Oh boy.
We'll do a remote live shot from the Super Bowl.
There you go. And again, if you're in LA, don't fly your drone.
Yeah.
Don't fly your drones in LA this weekend, folks. It's not worth it.
No, not at all.
They will find you. They will find you.
So Vic, does DJI fix the issue when it comes to the Mavic 3 taking so long to acquire your satellite?
They're working on it.
Is it true that it would take about between 5 to 10 minutes for you to acquire your
I haven't had it in mind to go that long. The longest one was 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
4 minutes, okay.
Yeah, and that's way too long. I flew out at the airport Monday night. We've got a project out that way, not right at the airport, but close. And traffic was horrendous. It took me an hour and a half to get there. It should have taken me 45 minutes. And by the time I got there, I had to get in the air then, or else I would have missed the dust shots. And I could not have waited any longer than I could have. So it could have actually, if it had been a major issue at that point, it could have cost me some work, which was unfortunate. But luckily it didn't. So yeah, it's an issue, and they know it, and they're working on it. It's hit or miss.
Why would they make it? I mean, I'm obviously they probably already knew that was going to happen. So why not make it like the other drones do? For example, my Air2S gets satellites just like that.
Right, and so does the Phantom. So did my Pro Phantom Pro.
Well, like we're talking about a minute
I don't know.
Adrian, it's a different one less system in Galileo.
Yeah,
it's not fully operational.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying before. GLONASS is on the Air 2S and the Mavic 2 Pro and the Phantom 4 Pro.
And I've been telling people for weeks it's a numbers game. GLONASS has probably 5 times more satellites. The Russians probably have 5 times more satellites than most other countries. So you're talking about a system that provides a lot more of the satellites for us to lock onto. Galileo, even though when it does come online fully, we don't even know how many satellites they're going to have. So you still may have this issue until they come up to the level of what the Russians had up there.
We should ask the Space Troll if we can use his satellites.
Yeah. Or at least find the guy. I saw the guy was the one who's been tracking Elon Musk. He was interviewing on CNN today or something. I said, find out what his technique is. He seems to be able to track people.
That's true. Curtis, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Did you see that? I was getting ready to say something about that, and I was going to keep. I said, you know what? I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I thought that was funny though. That was good. Oh boy.
Oh wow.
You got to excuse Curtis Dart. He's quite the character.
Oh yeah.
Curtis is good. Curtis and I have done it.
Curtis had a cool live stream today. He was doing one of his underwater drone. Yeah, he did an underwater live stream. Pretty cool.
I have some friends at Drone U still. Let me just put it that way. So.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I will say nothing. I will say nothing bad.
And so, I mean, I think there's ways around waiting for the sats. You know, like
if you launch supposedly, and if you hit auto
let it hover.
I've never used auto launch. I don't even know how to use it. But
yeah, you use just the sticks down and in
50 feet, and it'll lock a lot faster. Supposedly,
yeah.
So I haven't done it.
Now, Vic, is ADS-B on the drone kind of like remote pilot?
Remote ID.
Yeah.
Ish. ADSB is not allowed to be. You're not allowed to have ADSB out on a drone unless your waiver specifically says so. ADSB in, yes, but ADSB is for manned aviation. It's really only turned on during when you're in controlled airspace or in the mode CVAL, for the most part. And the remote ID is kind of in the same bucket in that it broadcasts out your location, but obviously the distance isn't going to be anything near that, and the ability to receive the signal is going to be much greater with remote ID than it will be with ADSB.
Okay.
So is it the same thing? Yes, but they're entirely different things at the same time. Does that make sense?
I think the big question is that since we do have ADSB on certain drones already, is it just a firmware update to open it up?
No, that's ADSB in only. So you're only receiving the ADSB. Like when I'm flying out at the airport, I got to turn that thing off because it's just constantly going off. On
right. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
well, I guess my question is, since we have the technologies already built into the drones to receive, as you say, in, what is it? Just a protocol, or does it have to be a total different process, actually chipset, to have a signal go out from a drone?
Oh, you mean for like remote ID?
Yes.
Or for ADSB specifically?
Well, just remote ID. That's what I'm thinking of. If we're receiving a signal,
right?
How much of a difference of protocol to send one out?
That's already on your drone. I mean, that's the telemetry you get on your receiver. So it's just a matter of setting up those protocols.
That's what I thought.
To satisfy the ADSB, too many numbers, too many letters, ASTM standards that will be published.
Yeah,
so
that's what
DJI says it's likely. DJI says it's likely, and I'm sure ITEL and Parrot and everybody else will. In the more modern drone, you're not going to be able to get your P2 if it's still flying to set up remote ID. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
But anything, probably not the 3s either. Maybe not the original Airs, but anything in recent, since remote ID's been a thing, or at least the process of a thing, I'm sure all the manufacturers said, hey, this is coming. We don't want to have to brick our drones.
Yeah.
At least the smart ones are. Some of them was like, yeah, let's brick our drones. They got to buy new drones. But people are too smart for that. They're not going to fall for that.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe anything from the Phantom V2 up can
possibly. I hope so. That guy right there.
Like I said, I would love for them to be done through firmware. Love it.
And if not,
firmware.
You're going to have a 15, 20 gram, maybe 25 gram, $35 piece that you put on there. Not the end of the world. It sucks a little, but not the end of the world.
Put it in place of your strobe if you're flying during the day. You're good.
Or if someone's smart, they'll build one with a strobe built in. Ooh,
Ken Dono will come up with an Etsy store product for it.
Exactly. Yeah, just like my friggin' t-shirt. Ken.
Oh, dude, I love that shirt.
Send me a t-shirt.
I want one.
Large. Thank you very much.
Greg had one on the other night.
Greg had one on. I was busy. Greg sent me a text that, hey, you got to go on Dobo.
It was awesome.
I can't.
I think they have them in this store. I think he has them.
I'm not paying. So I'm not going to pay money for a t-shirt with my face on it. I'm sorry.
Big old afro on it. I love
it. Hey guys, don't forget that for the month of March, we'll be having a giveaway for the whole entire month. It's gonna be sponsored by the only one, Mr. Recovery One Drone, aka Draymond Crawford. Sir, if you don't mind, go ahead and shine a little bit of light on that for everybody that's here, all the new people that came in, and the old, in case they forgot. Go ahead.
Okay. For the month of March, this is something I want to do for the drone community. Is basically saying thank you to everyone. I like people like Mr. Vic Moss, Maddie, Adrian, those of you guys in the chat who inspired me, who has gave me knowledge on what I should and shouldn't be doing, and this is, pretty much just paving the way. I've been in this game for about 3 years. I come from the construction background of doing inspections. That's why I got into drones, to do inspections on my jobs and everything else. So this is my way to say thank you. I'll be giving away, each week we'll be giving away hats, stickers, shirts, and the big prize, we're doing hoodies with the Recovery One drone on it.
Yeah, buddy.
That's the logo.
Very nice.
They'll be embroidered with that. And
let me see it again, Dre.
No, I'm gonna show you something better. Hang on.
Okay.
Just hang on 1 second.
Can you see the picture on my? Can you? I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't see it.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I saw that the other day on your Facebook. What? That is sweet, man.
I'm not giving this away.
Yeah, I figured that.
But this is just this is what you guys have drove me to as far as being inspiring. My little small niche of the woods is starting to grab hold and take hold a little bit. I've gotten a few good contracts here of late that are long-term contracts, I should say, which is what I've always been looking for. Anytime you do really commercial type construction, those jobs are going to be a year, 18 months long.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I feel you can really make some decent money in this this niche market, is being on long-term projects like this. So this is just my way of giving things back to you guys out there and let you know that I appreciate all of you guys.
That's awesome, man. Good for you, brother.
Yep.
You're a good man, Draymond.
Yeah.
A good man with
Dre.
big ass arms.
And I do want to thank you for picking my show to even do the giveaway. You could have been anywhere else, but you decided to be here. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Oh, don't worry. I'm going to call him after the show and tell him to come do it on mine instead.
Don't even think about
it. Yeah.
I wouldn't do that to you, man.
Well, I won't bug him to come on mine. How does that sound?
Do me a favor, Matty. Don't start being a cheater. We've been good so far. Don't cheat.
We've been doing great so far.
Like I said, as we're getting close to our time, is there any more areas you want to cover, Vic, before we wrap this up?
We have about 15 more minutes, and then we're going to call it a night, Vic.
Definitely don't fly the Super Bowl. Let's talk
don't.
about night ops and ops over people real quick.
Yes.
They're real short,
Yes.
real quick.
Yes. Go ahead.
Night operations. Two different kinds of night operations. Again, we're going to talk about 107, so non-recreational, and then recreational under 44809. 107, it's simple. You need to have a 3 statute mile strobe, which you need to make sure yourself. FAA does not certify strobes on unmanned aircraft. They do on the traditional aviation, but not on the unmanned. So you have to have that, and you have to have either your initial or recurrent after April 6th of last year. So as long as you got both of those, you're golden. So your first year, if you've just got your remote certificate after April 6th, and you got a 3 statute mile strobe, boom, done.
Question,
your initial.
Question on that note. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, interrupt. I'm all about being interrupted.
I understand exactly what you're saying about the 3 statute mile, the strobe, all that good stuff. But you also said you still need to physically be able to see the drone. It will be impossible for me to see the drone that far. So
which leads
they kind of make it sound like you could do it, but then at the same time you can't.
That's why you put on more than one.
Explanation. No, that's not why you put on more than one. That's why you put it on top of your drone. Oh yeah, I mean, no, you can. I actually fly with more than one too at times.
Yeah.
The 3 statute mile drone or strobe is not for you to see your drone. It's for the aviation, the traditional aviation above you to see your drone.
It's supposed to be on top.
It's supposed to be on top. Like with this guy. Oh, of course, I have white. Ouch. See, I've got, I don't know, can you see it? Yeah, right here, the Velcro. And it goes on the top of all my drones. Now, I also put a red light on the back of mine sometimes, so I can see it a little bit better at night. I still can't fly as far at night, obviously, as I can during the day. So the 3 statute mile strobe is not for you to see. It's for you to be seen by
Can I have a spotter
aviation above you
and still do it? Can I have a
can't fly
spotter
out
and do it?
If you have a spotter, you still need to be able to see it.
So don't do it, period.
Both be able to see
Don't do it, period.
Daisy chain spotters is not a good thing. It's not a legal thing unless you have a waiver.
No, yeah.
I think that's been one of the most misunderstood parts of the section.
Yeah, don't they
I got a guy down the road a quarter of a mile
on the radio or on the phone with me.
The spotter's supposed to be standing next to you.
They have to be within shouting distance of you, right? Or something
pretty
like
much.
that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You can use radios to communicate with your spotter, but you still have to be able to communicate without them in case of failure.
Yep.
So night ops for 107, 3 statute mile strobe, and you have to be current or initial after April 6th of last year.
Right.
Nighttime for hot recreational, that gets confusing sometimes, and I don't know why, because recreational pilots, recreational operators have been able to fly at night since the get-go. They've never not been allowed to fly at night, ever. Now, do they need lights? Right now, without getting too deep into the woods, the FAA says, yes, you do need lights because you need to fly under, basically, they don't use the AMA, but basically something like the AMA safety guidelines. And those do say you have to have lights that you can both figure out altitude and attitude, so direction of travel. So OEM strobes are fine for that. It obviously limits how far you can fly at night, though. You can't fly as far at night as you can during the day and maintain BVLOS. So night ops for now fly with strobes that are OEM are fine for the big boys, and then the big girl toys. So those are fine. Once the CBO, so the community-based organizations develop rules with the FAA, which should come out hopefully this summer.
I was going to ask when that's going to be. Yeah,
that may change to a 3 statute mile strobe. I hope not, because if you've got a mini at 245 grams or whatever the actual is, you're going to have, and they do make the 3 statute mile strobes, so they're under that, because I've got a bunch of them. But still, you're better off with something, one of the ARC 4s or something from Firehouse or ARC 5s. And they're going to push you over 250 grams, so then you lose the recreational exemption. So I hope that it's not a requirement for recreational, but if hopes and wishes were free, then whatever. So fly at night during the recreational, do it. Just make sure you can see your drone, and you'll be able to tell where it is, which way it's going. 107, 3 statute mile. And
now when it comes to night flying, what are the times before or after what time are you allowed to
in the
fly
United
at
States? It's you've got a 30-minute twilight. So anything after 30 minutes after sunset or before sunrise is technically night. But you should, for 107, you have to have, for twilight, you have to have your 3 statute mile strobes on. And recreational, there's no real definition. If the sun's down, you should probably have lights on there. And personally, if I'm flying at night recreationally, and I suggest to everybody, put a damn strobe on your drone.
It's so simple. Yeah.
It's just so simple. It's so smart, and it's always about safety. Always, 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 always.
I fly with 3 of them on there.
And that's not a bad idea. I've got my big one and my red one. It is.
Yeah.
And those are for the people to see you.
No, I have one on the top, but I also have one on the back, the bottom, and the front arm for me.
Perfect. Not a bad idea. You can make that reacquisition a lot easier if you look away, or when you look away. Okay, last one real quick, 'cause I know we're running out of time. And thanks for indulging me on this.
Hey, we could go for a little bit longer if you want to.
Yeah, but I have a wife I told I'll only be here an hour, and that was.
I understand.
So I have a very supportive wife, and if you're listening, Chris, thank you very, very much. Operations over people, OOP. There is one category of drones right now that you can fly over people without a waiver, and that is the category 1, which means under 250 grams. And you can't have, let me get the wording correct, any exposed rotating parts that would lacerate human skin upon impact with a human being, or human skin upon impact with a pig. I don't get that last part, but I guess it's government easy.
Yep.
Very, very few. Excuse me again. I live in a desert. Very few drones, very few OEM drones meet that standard, including the Mavic Mini 2. However, I have a Mavic Mini 2 that's category 1 compliant because I have a bunch of Japanese batteries. The Japanese batteries are 1 cell versus 2 cell.
Yep.
And then I trimmed down my my prop guards to shave a few extra ounces off, so I could put one of my really light 3 mile strobes on there. There is a way to do that. If you want to go to our website, which is dspalliance.org. So dspalliance.org. In our newsroom, I have an article about what I did to make that work.
I have a question.
Sure.
How the hell did you get your hands on those Japanese batteries?
They fell into my lap, and I wish I had secret sauce.
People, do you know how many people would die to have those batteries because of the lightweight?
I told DJI, you've got to get them in here. The trouble is they're not UL listed. So the underwriting laboratories has not tested them, and they can't import them until that happens. People knew, and that's maybe it's the benefit of having the name I've got and people knowing me, and I'll put the word out. It's like, oh boy, I wish, and apparently I got them. I got 2 different people. One I have 4 and one sent me 2. I had to pay for them, and I didn't ask for them for free, but I paid for them.
Yeah, it's a good thing about knowing people, man. You're a popular guy, so hey, what the hell? All the power to you. Now when you say the category 1 of flying over people, that is for 107 only, correct?
Correct. Yes, thank you. Very good point. That is not for the trust. It is 107.010. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
So that is a 107 rule. It's not that. It is not a yes, Andrew. I knew a guy. If that's the Andrew I'm thinking of. It's not a recreational rule. And let's tie in. I think I saw it flash by real quick. Let's tie in remote ID on that. You do need remote ID if you're going to fly sustained flights over open air assemblies. So a lot of people say, oh, you got to have remote ID, so you still can't fly over people. That's not true. That is, you have to have it for sustained flights over people. Over open air assemblies.
Okay.
Makes
I
sense.
think somebody had a question about traffic also. Can you bounce on that real quick?
How about crossing traffic with cars?
Right.
Or highways with cars? Like you always usually do cross traffic with cars. You can transit over a moving vehicle. A person inside a moving vehicle. You have to be really careful how that's worded. If you have a category 1, you can transit over. So you can't just like fly down the road with them. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So basically, you got to be crossing.
Just cross the road.
Adjacent, yeah.
And it has to be exactly like I can go out there and do it with my Mini 2.
Yeah.
But I can't do it with my Mavic 3 or my FPV drone or the P4P or any of that stuff.
Right. Okay. Well, Adrian, you want to wrap this up, brother? We got about 4 minutes.
I'm gonna post, and I don't care if anybody has it. My email address is vic at dspalliance.org. You can post it in the notes when you post this if you want. And if anything comes up, questions, if your city or your state is looking at doing something as dumb as Wisconsin's looking at doing right now, and Florida has done as far as banning Chinese drones, please let us know, and we can help you fight that. Doesn't mean we'll win, but we got a pretty good record so far.
Okay, I heard about this, but I did not know the details of that. Adrian, did you hear that?
What?
The whole state of Florida banning DJI or Chinese drones?
DJI put an entity list together that you can buy from. So they said who you can buy from, not who you can't buy from. But they used the old blue UAS list, which is a garbage list. And Wisconsin actually is trying to pass a bill that specifically forbids DJI products.
Wow.
And the
so what is
problem
the
with that
situation in Florida?
The Florida, yeah, it's stupid. The problem with that is, what do most schools use to teach kids about
DJI?
Drones? Telos.
Yep.
Yeah,
Telos.
and it's DJI freaking it's DJI equipped. Yeah.
Yep.
So the state of Florida is actually trying to ban, or
they
banned.
already have. They passed a law that says if you're a state agency, you have till July
agency.
1st.
Okay.
That says if you can't buy after this, and if you do have one after this certain date, and the numbers aren't coming to me right now, you have to have a plan in place about how you're going to replace them, and you can't use them 12 months from the time.
And here's shit.
Wow.
I thought we were freaking cool down here, and now it turns out we're a bunch of assholes.
He's saying agency, which basically means all government agencies.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Schools, all Florida agencies.
That's ridiculous, man.
Search and rescue.
Fire
department,
fire
EMS,
departments,
schools,
yep,
all that.
That's
Florida
ridiculous.
will kill people, period. Wisconsin, if it passes, will kill people.
Yep.
Because 490 plus people have been saved directly by drone use across the world, over 200 in the United States. And the vast majority of those have been DJI and Autel products using FLIR and stuff like that. So if those agencies can no longer use them, can no longer maintain their fleet, people will die. And people hate it when I say that. But I will stand firm, and this is a hill I will die on.
Yeah.
If people do this, if government agencies do this, people will die. Period.
That's crazy.
Sorry. I'm passionate about that. Can you tell?
Well, you should be. We all should be, because that's just...
and it's not my vertical. I don't do search and rescue.
Right.
But I care about this industry, and I care about people.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just something, and it's based upon political will.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
99%, 1% legitimate concern.
Yeah, like I said, there's no data, no records of drones being hazardous to the people in these situations that you're talking about. They've always been an asset.
Yep.
So this
there
is
are times we shouldn't fly DJI drones in a government facility. I get it. Any Chinese drone, any Russian drone, whatever.
That's understood.
They shouldn't be done, obviously. Yeah. But you know what? Kenji, he had to fly a drone doing some stuff in a park, and they said no because it's a Chinese drone. And it's like, what? The Chinese care about bird butts? He loves using that. He goes, you really think the DJI or the people in China are going to count bird butts and give a crap?
Yeah, come on, man.
That's his example. Oh. I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't mean to turn this political.
It's okay.
You asked.
No, but I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't know that. I live in Florida, and so does he. So I didn't know that.
Talk to Ken. Talk to Dono about that. He's pretty tight with it because of his business.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Shit.
And Ken send me a shirt.
So
I'm gonna get one too.
So basically, you're saying DJI doing something about the drones in Florida?
No, not DJI. Florida, the state of Florida is doing something that if you're not on this list, you cannot buy drones with a government agency or with government money from the state of Florida.
Yep.
And you may not use them even now or possess them after a year, I think, from now. Don't quote me on all those times, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I guess a lot of people that gave those stimulus won't be able to buy drones then.
Well, no, not
as long
us.
as they don't fly for the government.
We can. It's the government agencies that can't.
Yeah, people can. Floridians can. Yeah. I lived in Tampa for 2 years. I would have flown a drone, but
holy cow,
I hated it.
That's ridiculous.
Well, we still have 40 people here, but we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. It's been
we should. My wife's probably. I got to go upstairs.
Thank you, Vic Moss, for being here.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Drayman.
Thanks for the invite.
My pleasure, sir. I would love to have you anytime. You have the email. If you are allowed to be on the chat, first you need to check with the chief first, your wife. We don't want you to get in trouble.
Actually, somebody just posted,
don't call me or email me saying I got you in trouble. If you do,
oh no, she's fine. She's an awesome lady.
We'd love to have you again. Thanks for all the knowledge. I really appreciate it. Dre, thank you for coming in, Matty. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for the love and support. Hey, I think it's a good stream. What do you guys think?
That was successful, bro.
It was fun.
Well, they certainly ain't here for me and you.
Sure they are.
I got you. Again, thanks everybody for being here. Have a good night. See you guys on the next one.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.